Hello and welcome to another episode of Boxing TV here at Boxing TV over on YouTube and over on Facebook. I have some incredible guests this evening. I'm going to always go to the fans. I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you, each and every one of you tuning in. Let's have a look who's here. Paul Driscoll over in the US. I hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in. You seem to every week, mate. I've noticed. Top man. Nice to see you. Everybody who's watching right now, please do me a big favor. Make sure you like the video and press share and get more people involved in this incredible show we've got today. Lisa Webb, we've got good evening, everybody. Love my Sunday nights with you, Dan. Bless you. And I just want to shout out actually to some of the followers that we went on did this, then we went on TV and it stopped for ages and I missed it loads. And then we've come back to social media. And what we started getting is I'm seeing regular people jumping in the stream every single week and talking to each other and learning more about boxing. It's absolutely mint to see. So thanks for tuning in. Dean from Mitras Automotive, one of our partners. Good evening. Happy Easter. Yeah, forgot about that. Happy Easter. Hope everybody's full of chocolate. I've been for the first time. I've lost loads of weight. And for the first time, I've been on an actual fairground ride for the first time in about 15 years. So I'm a happy guy today. Paul Driscoll. Oh, he's in Canada. You're over in Canada. Everybody watching, I always say this. Please tell me where you're from. Make sure you put in the comments where you're from. Love hearing it. Nicky Burnred. Hope you're well, mate. Really nice to hear from you. Looking well. Bless you. Nice one, mate. Appreciate that. Leslie comes in with, hi, Dan. Hi, mate. Hope you're well. Matt Hall, one of the most hardest men I know. Matt Hall is a journeyman who is rock hard. So absolute legendary guy. Really good guy. Russell Gerard said Vidal Riley will be a world champion in 18 months. Yeah, we'll see. Things can change. Russell Gerard, good evening from East London even. Nice, mate. Nice to see you. Sophie Webb, happy Easter, bro. Hope you're well. I'm really good. I'll see you next week, I'm sure, for the fight. Richard Vernon, good evening, pal. Watching from Shrewsbury, just around the corner. And more importantly, an absolute beautiful, beautiful lady and a good friend of ours, Mrs. Louise Heaney. Nice to see you. I hope you've had a lovely Easter. So we're going on to the guests now. Who we've got some fantastic guests tonight. First of all, someone who's massively, massively close to my heart. But first and foremost, this is absolutely business today. So I could sit here and tell how much I love you, but it's not about that. I want to hear about this guy's career and I want to show people exactly who Nathan Heaney really is. Now, Nathan is one of the most likable blokes you'll ever meet. And don't think for a second that when you see these videos and you see these interviews and, think for a second that's not him. If anything, that's him playing it down. He's an amazing guy. He's got an incredible following. He's 17-0 now, I believe, with 6 knockouts. He's got a fantastic, fantastic record. And he's only getting better week by week, week by week. A little bit later, we also have the main man from Frank Warren, Dev Sahni. And a little bit later, we've got a really interesting guest, Matt Legg, who's a former criminal enforcer, former pro. He fought Joshua and James Toney. So we're going to be hearing his story a little bit later on. Now, I want to talk about Nathan's following. And this shouldn't be the first thing you think about when you think about Nathan Heaney. However, it is absolutely magical. And there has been sooner nights than this. However, this for me was one of my highlights of my life, never mind his life. Seeing Nathan's walk out, one of his biggest things he wanted to do when he was younger, we used to say it over and over again, is get signed by Frank Warren, and he wanted the King's Hall to have flags hanging over the side, people screaming his name. And this actually happened. Check how mad this is. Absolute scenes, by the way. Probably one of those electric atmospheres. Welcome to the show, Nathan Hitman Heaney. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, mate. Yeah, many years ago that was, I think that was...
I know. There's been bigger nights than that. But that for me there at King's Hall was something else.
Yeah. I think this month. In fact, I think it's 3 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
this month. Yeah, I think 20th of March. I think. Yeah, so this is crazy how quick that's gone. Like, but
Yeah.
but no, it's yeah, that was the night that sort of where it all came together in terms of obviously, yeah, obviously what because I didn't envision the Kings all those years ago. Obviously, we like I said about Frank Warren, that was always a dream. But obviously, when you're on the small scene and you start off, you aren't too sure how it's going to work out. But as it was growing and stuff, and then that did obviously thinking about it being full like that was obviously something I really hoped would happen, and obviously it did. And now we've just taken over quite a few places over the country, and yeah, it's been phenomenal.
I mean, Telford. I mean, Telford dwarfed that really, but the atmosphere in the King's Hall then was for me was one of the highlights of forever. Again, everybody watching, make sure you share to support the video, much appreciated. I'm going to go through this with a bit of a different angle than maybe other people would speak to you normally, only because I know you so well, and I want people to understand exactly what you're about. First of all, I want to go with something that people always say when I say about Nathan Heaney. They say, well, you know, he's getting on a bit now. He's 33, 34. Now, I know you as being younger. When you were basically 25, you looked about 6. So I think that it's a bit like the Messi situation. So explain to people why, first of all, you went pro later on in your career.
Well, yeah, yeah, like going back to obviously like the age kind of thing. Yeah, I was always like a late developer. Like when I was growing, I always looked, even when I was at college and stuff, I looked very young. Even like say, even when I was probably like 24, I looked all bloody 16. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's not making me look too bad now. Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of them. Like, but no, the reason I turned pro so late, well, I was never going to turn pro, to be honest. The reason was, well, the idea was in the amateurs, you have the ABAs each year. And the idea is win the ABAs, and then hopefully you get signed by Frank Warren, and then you'll be a TV fighter, and then you won't really have to worry too much about things, because I've seen fighters throughout Stoke throughout the time that they've been fantastic fighters, but because they haven't been able to, many people haven't watched them fight and stuff. They don't go anywhere. So I just thought to myself, I don't think many people are going to watch me fight. So unless I'm signed by Frank Warren, I won't ever turn professional, because nothing's gonna happen anyway. But I think it was only when my first daughter was born, Ava, which was like nearly 7 years ago now. I remember just thinking, as I was about 27 or just turned 27, I thought maybe I should just try this pro game out just in case. Like, so I've got no regrets. And yes, and that's basically what I did. So I signed BCB Promotions. I went with an outside promoter, than what most people do within the area. And it was probably the best thing I ever did. He managed me really well, put some great shows on. It was me and Luke Catchy from Stoke that were working together as teammates and putting shows on and stuff. And then yeah, it just grew and grew. And then yeah, and now fast forward, bloody I think it's 5.5 years or whatever as I've been a pro now. I wouldn't believe where I am. To yeah, like I say, I dreamed about fighting for Frank when I was younger, but I never dreamed about headlining shows or being world ranked and stuff like that. Just never did. So it's happened. It's really, really good, because yeah, I was a good amateur, but I underachieved a lot as an amateur as well. So I never got to show me real potential when I was younger.
Loads and loads of love coming in the chat, guys. There really, really is. Just to answer Kyle's question, it was at the King's Hall in Stoke-on-Trent. It was. Yeah, it was. That was like 2 days before lockdown, wasn't it? That one. And I remember because everybody was like nervous about going.
Yeah, so I remember we weighed in on the Thursday, because it was a Friday night show. This was, so we weighed in on the Thursday, and then Boris was doing an official announcement that same night. And I remember absolutely thinking, "Oh my goodness, what's going to happen here?" Because they might cancel the show, or they might just cancel all events. But fortunately, Boris just said, "Right, just if you got a cold or if you getting symptoms, just stay at home." And he didn't cancel it until the following week. So like. Yeah,
honestly, never kiss so many people at night.
Yeah,
either,
so
it sounds bad, but
it's very lucky like that it happened that way, because who knows? I might not have been signed by Frank after that.
Yeah.
If that night had never happened, who knows? So yeah, it was very, very lucky. And that was the last sporting event, boxing wise, and I think even football wise, because they cancelled the football that week. I'm sure they did when I boxed. And that's why I was cancelled. So it was the last one. So yeah, it was mad. It was mad.
Bit of history there, mate. Probably not the most positive history, I suppose, but
it was for me. For everyone else, like it's it.
There you go. I want to talk to you about your mental strength now. So, of course, I've known you personally a very, very long time. And you said something to me personally not too long ago. You were watching people on TV, you were taking in different things, and you were talking about being the strongest man at your father's funeral, or your part. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but I've since watched that video, and well, coincidentally, unfortunately, that did happen to you, and I'm got to say firsthand, you were the strongest person at your dad's funeral. That's some bloody mental strength, mate. That is some blood, and not only that. Straight after the horrible passing of who's one of the greatest men ever to walk in my life, your father, you then got told you're then going to fight for the title. Only a few weeks later,
the day after. Oh yeah, I got told about I got told about the fight the day after. Obviously, because Errol didn't know my dad died, and then I fought 8 weeks and 1 day after that happened in my first title fight. Yeah,
mental, absolute madness. How does this mindset of Clear, just as a person, I know what you're like as a man, but like, how does this kind of transition into the world of boxing? Because if you can do that after such terrible things happen to you, and you've got this support, and you're doing all this on your own, you're going to be a very, very hard man to beat. Talk to me about that.
I don't know, mate. It's I'm quite tough, like mentally. I think I'm quite emotional as well. I can get emotional at times, not in a bad way. But like if I watch ET, I might get upset. Like, or if I speak about my dad at times, I might get upset. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's like with fighters and stuff, or any athletes or anyone that wants to pursue anything in life that they want to be good at. You've got to have some kind of mental strength there, because you won't get anywhere without that, really. You possibly will do, but it certainly helps. Certainly helps along the way. And yeah, like that quote about being the strongest man at your father's funeral was from a bloke called Jordan Peterson, who's like
he's meant.
And I didn't hear that until like probably a year and a half after my dad had died. I was like, oh bloody hell, I think I was. And like you say kindly, like I was strongest man at my dad's funeral. But it was good, because when I was listening to the video, there was like things he was saying that I was like, I think I do that. Like, I treat people with respect, and I try to be the best person I possibly can. Obviously, I'm not perfect in the slightest, but I do try my best. But yeah, it's but like going back to like the mental strength and stuff, and belief and all this kind of stuff. Like many years ago, I can't remember, probably 5-6 years ago. No, probably 4 years ago, we went to the lakes, and that was that mountain that I said I could run up in 15 minutes. And like
that was just mental. Does anybody even know about this, by the way?
No one will know about it. But anyway, we got the lakes, and it's near this place called, is it mine? I don't know what it's called.
Go on, what are you saying?
Minehead or something, or Cat Bells or something. I don't know.
What are you on about? Maidenmore, so it's the
Horseshoe
Mountains, isn't it? In the lakes.
So Maidenmore. So it's a big like thing, and like the lads are like, "Oh, it'll take age." You got that? I was like, "I can do that in 15 minutes." And like, no way. I was like, "I can do that in 15 minutes. I promise you, I can do it." Anyway, I put my headphones in, and then I thought, I'm going to try it. So they timed me, and I went up, and I think I did it in 15 minutes and 46 seconds. So I wasn't under 15 minutes, which was a shame, really, but I did have a pair of Converse on, so it wasn't like I was wearing proper climbing shoes and stuff. But I remember coming back down afterwards and coming into the hut, and I said to you, I will be a British champion one day. Now, I don't tell anyone what I think I can achieve and stuff. And there's no saying I will be a British champion, but I do believe I've got the physical attributes and like you said, the mental strength and stuff to at least give me a chance of becoming a British champion. So yeah, just it's one of them. You are believing in yourself, but you've also got to know that you can actually do it. It's like I said because you got Dev Sahni on in the second, and in me after I weighed in and I did like an interview with Dev and Nick Ball, I said they said about Jack Flatley about what he's going to be doing and this and that, and I said, well, it's okay, because what the mind thinks he can do, what the body can do, are two completely different things. But you need to know what you can do. And I just knew when it comes. I'm waffling on a bit here, but when I said about running up that mountain,
mate, I knew. Can I double here? Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Heaney. I just want to put people in the picture of this, because I think he's not really giving the full grasp. So basically, I said I'd do it, but I just didn't want to show him up.
Yeah.
But I was sitting on outside the hut in the middle of the mountains. There's nothing there. There's nothing. Not even there's a shop, probably about 10 miles away. There's not even a house anywhere near us. And he looks up at this mountain, which is like just ridiculous. You don't run up a mountain like that. It's not an hill, not like a little hill. It was a bloody mountain, and it was like that. Like, it was ridiculous. And he's got up in his white Converse when it was all muddy, And I'm sitting there with a whiskey. It must be about 7:30 in the morning. It was absolutely mental. It was horrific how you've even managed to even do or even think I'm gonna climb up that mountain. You didn't climb, you ran. You ran up it, man.
Yeah.
That's never been seen. That I'm telling you, absolutely ridiculous. I want to talk about you as not so much the age thing, but like redevelopment side. So for me, again, and just to point on, you are a late bloomer. So do you feel? And I've always said this, but do you feel that will potentially extend your career?
Well, potentially, yeah. Just well, make no mistake, my last performance, which is the oldest performance I've had in terms of my age, was the best performance I think I've ever done. Really, in terms of like the way I started the fights, I started fast and explosive. I maintained the pace, and I even changed the game plan up, and was in the last 10 seconds of the fight, I threw a combination, I threw like a 10-punch combination that was like, and I don't normally say good things about myself, but it was like I pretended I was Joe Calzaghe for 10 seconds, and it was it was I felt the best I'd felt, to be honest. So yeah, it's one of them. I've always looked after myself, and I've always built up over the years. I built up a big aerobic engine in terms of the way that I train and stuff, and I think that's reflected in the way I perform. I'm more economical in what I do as well. I don't waste a lot of stuff, but then I've got the strength to like manage the fights and bit more ring generalship. But to be fair, a lot of the credit, or all the credit, goes to Steve Woodvine anyway, because I've been with him now for 5.5 years, and he's developed me the whole way through. And finally, in that last fight, I actually did a little bit of what he wanted me to do for all these years, because he knows I can do it. It's just getting me to do it, like so. But I've shown it in glimpses here and there. Even in sparring, you see me spar some lads, and he's thought bloody brilliant. But it's just keeping it consistently. But yeah, on that night, I think I showed a little different side to me, at least.
I think you completely, professionally, I think you completely transformed the way that people, and I know I can see Dev there in the background. I'm sure he thought exactly the same thing. That, for me, I think that your stock raised so much, because there was all these questions about, yeah, he's good, but, is he good enough to beat a top level person? And I think that not only have you managed to hit that, you've also managed to exceed that, if that makes sense. So you're thinking, he didn't. For me, you won that comfortably, and fought and put yourself at risk at times during that fight. More likely like the last round, because you could. The truth of it, because you could. Of course, you can't do that against every opponent, but still, it's nice that you can definitely do that. I want to talk about your fans, but let's go to some of them first of all. So let's have a look. Rich Moss says, two legends.
Go on, Mossy. Go on, Mossy, son.
Actually, Mossy.
The Moss master, mate. The Moss
yes,
master.
Mossy.
He's in Tenerife or Lanzarote or something. He's on a stag do.
Nice, lad. Nice one, mate. Nice to see you the other night. Richard Vernon said, Nathan Heaney, one of the nicest guys in boxing. This is a good one. Leslie Webb. Hi, Nathan. From Billboard Smiley Face to Bill Topper to Bet365 to British champion. All the very best, Nathan. Give all I had for you to achieve your dream, Les. I want to tell the guys about something that Les... No. Someone who may be similar to Les. I can't... Yeah, because it might not have been Les. You never know.
Yeah.
But what happened earlier on in Nathan's career? Someone clearly had a vendetta against Nathan and ripped.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. What it was, there was a date for potentially another show, or whatever. But it was my first ever fight on BT Sports, and there was a date. It was like, I think it's 28th of April or something, and obviously it was on the bottom of the poster that Frank had put up on a big billboard in Stoke. And then for some reason, someone had removed the date from the bottom of the poster. Everything else was fine. My face and everything was fine, but the date had been removed. I don't know who did it, to be honest, but either way, that date was removed. But then this person then painted the date
unnamed person.
Yeah, phenomenal. So thank you very much to that person.
Yeah. Absolutely love how politically
thank you for your comments as well. Like, your bloody diamond and always there for me, mate, and I really appreciate you being there.
That's lovely, mate. Lovely. This is very special. Louise, on their wedding day, the strongest man I will ever know, our hero.
The beautifulest girl I'll ever know, as well as my two girls as well. But yeah, cheers, Louise. Love you both.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's talk about this fan situation again. Yeah. So there's no way in your wildest bleeding dreams that you could ever have imagined that you've got like 1,500 people like that who want to see you. And not only do they want to see you, I feel like they're emotionally invested in you as well, which means that they're going to follow you, win, lose, or draw. They're going to be there screaming for you. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Do you reckon it's down to being personable, being approachable, the ticket situation. Tell us about what you do there.
Yeah, mate. I think what it is, I'm very lucky that my guys create one of the best atmospheres in boxing. Like the unity between them all is phenomenal. And just like I said before, like 100 Stokies sound like 600 of anyone else's. So it becomes a bit. I think people get a little bit. They just come together, and like it just feels like a part of an event every single time. So every 3 to 4 months when I'm fighting, I was like, oh, Heaney's fighting again, and then they all come back together again, and it's just amazing. The fights have been quite good as well, so that's been helping. But obviously we have Delilah and walk out to Delilah, and that's entertaining and gets everyone going. And then the fights are good, and then we have a bit of banter after and stuff. And obviously, yeah, like I dropped my tickets off and stuff. That's nothing special. Like that, people really like that, and I love doing it. But I don't know why that shouldn't really be special. I think I don't know why other people don't just do it, because I love doing it. Like I say, when I'm looking through the camera and I watch me fights back, I can see all the people in the crowd, and like I've engaged with every single person. Obviously, some people have bought tickets for other people that I might not have spoken to, but the vast majority of them, I'll know every single one of them in there. And yeah, it's special. And just like I say, I don't know, they make the atmosphere incredible, and it just makes so everyone goes again.
Loads and loads of comments coming in. I'm looking at every single one of them as well. So make sure, obviously I can't put every single one up, but I will put most of that I can do. This is a good one here. Kieran Downs said, who would be the dream fight at the Bet365 Stadium, People's Champ Nathan?
Thank you very much, Kieran. Whoever would help to fill it. Whatever dance partner would help to fill that. So whatever big name that would be, I aren't really bothered. But I think we do 15 to 20,000 without anyone that's a massive name. But if you have a massive name that can make it so it's 35,000 in there, like, which I'm sure there's names out there that could certainly help that would be the ideal for me. But yeah, no particular names. Mate, I've gone throughout my whole career not mentioning one person's name, and I don't think I ever will mention anybody's name. So yeah, whoever I fight, but whoever can certainly help to bring in the extra 20 to 15,000 people, that's who I'd want.
We've spoken about this at length, haven't we? Personally, and I think it'd done like it's not just a boxing thing; it's an event. It's an absolute event.
Yeah.
And the people who might not be able to make the Manchester's, Telfords, or wherever he might be, and they go to the match every day, or they might just be people who don't really even go Stoke, or they might be Vale fans, or they might just because you got Stoke, you still love the fans from your city, no matter who they're with. Do you know what I mean? And it's really nice that I've noticed now is to see that there's a lot of people from outside the area who want to be involved in this whole Delilah situation. They want to be part of this mad crowd, because it reminds me of, again, I know I can be biased because I love you more than the world, but it's like people now starting to take notice, not only talent wise, but also kind of as this unit wise. And I think it's going past just Stoke City now. I think people are really starting to want to be involved in the motion. Do you know what I mean? It's really, really do. Chris Harper said, "Evening, Dan. Massive well done to the Hitman." Perfect. So going on to next question then. So I feel for you, as if I was an opponent, the biggest misunderstanding of you is to not think for a second that you can't punch like a mule kicks. So if you look at your record, and I know this firsthand before he started getting buff. So 17, right? Okay, 17 fights, 6 knockouts. Now, at the start of your career, you're completely.
We don't need anyone to know that I can't punch, mate. No, I can't punch. You can't
punch.
I'm proper feather fisty, mate. Like it's but yeah, it's one of them, mates. But yeah, people, I can't punch, mate, and in the slightest. That's why I haven't got many knockouts.
Yeah, that's why it says.
Yeah,
like I say, for me, though, I just don't think people should ever underestimate if you look at Nathan's body at the start of his career, I sent you a picture the other day, didn't I? Of your body at the start of your career compared to what you like now. And I feel like you're just two completely different people.
Yeah, because the difference was, though, I didn't have 24-hour weigh-in. So when I was on the small hall scene before, I'd always have to be within 2 pounds of that weight, because you can you can stop drinking water 24 hours before a fight. That's absolutely fine. So you'll probably drop an extra 4 pounds just by doing that. So as you can't do that with same day weigh-ins, like particularly if you're weighing in, let's say 4 p.m. on a Friday, and then you fight that same night. You can't do that. Whereas you can allow yourself to grow a little bit more when you've got the 24-hour weigh-ins, essentially. So that's why the difference is there.
Brilliant. And of course, you fought Jack Flatley in a fantastic fight the other day. I want to talk prior to, pretty well documented, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But tell us about the quality of your sparring ahead of Jack Flatley, because I think that was key to a lot of the successes in that fight.
Yeah, so we sparred some very good lads over the years with me and Steve. But yeah, Steve's got lads in that were ideal candidates for what Jack Flatley was potentially going to be bringing in terms of a relentless pace, front foot fighting, and making it sure I wasn't really breathing much. So that's why we had Sergio Garcia. I did nearly 20 rounds with him. I had Aaron McKenna. I did nearly 20 rounds with him. So like 40 rounds between those two lads. And Aaron McKenna is a very big middleweight. To be fair, I think he is a super middleweight. And Garcia is I think he is now competing at middleweight, and he's very relentless and strong. So it was ideal. It was ideal sparring, and they did set me up for exactly. Well, they were like very high level fighters. So I thought to myself, if they're doing what they can do, but I can do well with them, which I was doing, then hopefully I should be okay with Jack Flatley. Which I think that experience with those guys helped me on the night.
Love it. So everybody's asking the same question, Nath. We keep hearing about the Bet365. We keep hearing about it. We keep talking about it. I know it keeps coming up in conversation and interviews. I've heard Frank say it. So what's next for you, mate?
Yeah, well, I'm not too sure what's next. Like the biggest issue with this year is Stoke have got a lot of work that's been done in the ground in the summer, which is of all timings, it's the worst timing of all, really, because it would have been just done in the summer. They would have already sorted it, but it's just working through with the contractors they've got and to see what dates are available. It can still be done this year. It's just with Frank and George and stuff, we've got to obviously speak with Stoke and just see what dates can possibly be done. So I honestly can't say what's next because I really don't know. But what
kind of work's been done? What kind of work's been done at the stadium? Do you know?
Having like floodlights being done. I think the seating stuff. They're having a fan zone being built. I think loads of stuff's being done. So because obviously they got the new chief officer, like that COO, which is Simon King. He's new to the role. He took over from Tony Scholes, I think, and so I think he's putting a lot of stuff in place to obviously improve the club.
Love it, love it. And just finally, really, what message have you got for your incredible fans and people who are still yet to be a fan?
Yeah, just like always, mate. Just want to say thank you to every single person that's obviously there. Everyone that's watching now on Facebook and stuff, and yeah, I really do appreciate it. Like the most phenomenal supporters you can ever get, and the most loyal as well. You want, if I did a loyalty card for some of them, they've been to all 17 fights. And Vinny, I don't think he's watching this. He might be, I don't know, but Vinny's been to all 17 fights, and there's many others that have been to all 17 fights as well. So I just want to thank every single one of them, and yeah, and thank you and I'll look forward to seeing you in the future, hopefully.
What a man! What a man! We of course wish you all the best in your career. We'll one of the Heaney horde and myself will be following you too. Don't care where you go, Saudi. I couldn't care if you go Iraq. Couldn't care. I'm going, mate. Thank you for being such an amazing person, and thanks for coming on the show, mate. Love you to bits.
Cheers, man. Right, love you too, mate. Cheers, mate.
Soon.
Thank you, mate.
Oh, he's a top lad, and I'm not just saying it from from his core. Beautiful, beautiful man. Beautiful man. So, yeah, go to my next guest now. Someone who I actually want to learn more about his story. He seems unusual, not unusual, wrong word, but he's got a certain path that I want to... He's laughing in the background. I can see you. He's got a certain story that I'd love to learn more about. We see him on the TV all the time, doing press conferences, and then he's doing ring announcing, and he's doing the media stuff. He is an absolute cracking lad. There's no doubt about it. So just to introduce you, Dev Sahni. Dev, how are you getting on, my friend? Are you well?
I'm good, and you were actually correct when you said unusual. So the laughing backstage was he's found out. So yeah, I'm a bit unusual.
It does make me laugh because sometimes people don't think I can see him in the background, and some of the stuff I've seen, mate, you would not even believe. And by the way,
Oh,
Matt, I can
goodness
see
me.
you over there, mate. Thanks for joining. We're bringing you on a little bit later on. So, Dev, first of all, thanks a lot for coming on the show. I'm a big fan of yours. And I have been for a long time. I love your story. And to be honest, I do quite a lot of research before coming on for any guest. And a few things have popped up. I thought, I didn't know that. It's quite unusual. So, I want to learn from the very, very beginning with boxing specifically for you. So, what kind of got you into the world of boxing?
Right, so thanks for having me on, by the way. I appreciate it. What got me into the world of boxing? So I was working in online marketing, right? I was just a big boxing fan. Sort of the fight that made me like a hardcore boxing fan and made me, follow it religiously, check all the forums and everything every day was Ricky Hatton around his fight with Mayweather. That was 2007. So I watched his fight beforehand with I think it's Castillo, wasn't it? Castillo, and he
Yeah.
banged him out with a body shot. And after that fight, he said, "You've seen more entertainment in those however many rounds than you have in Mayweather's whole career." So I'd sort of already seen Mayweather against De La Hoya. It'd been on. I didn't really know what I was watching, but that really hooked me in. For some reason, those words really excited me from Ricky Hatton. So I just dived in, and yeah, I mean, I was working in online marketing, and it was a bit boring. It was like European rail travel and stuff like that. Very, very boring
Okay.
stuff.
Nothing like
And
the world you're in now, then, Dev.
no, mate, nothing at all. I was just always a boxing fan, but I sent my CV to Box Nation one day, and it
Okay.
was a good CV. It was like I'd made it so it stands out. It was like a YouTube homepage, big picture of me, like saying I'm the guy you got to hire. There was hire now buttons everywhere. It was thought out and put together so sort of when you
Okay.
see it, you ain't just going to chuck it with the rest of the boring ones. So clearly, it got someone's attention there enough for them to get in touch with me 6 months later and say, okay, we've got a role here. It's a digital manager role. And that's what I was doing. I was sort of online marketing sort of thing. And
Mhm.
they made me jump through a few hoops, and I jumped through them correctly and got myself a job at Box Nation as the digital manager, which was back in 2014 now. So yeah, that was my route in. Very, very strange route, not your average route. And then from that point, I've just sort of, as you said, like ring announcing, like presenting and stuff like that. I've just basically said yes to everything. I'm
Yeah,
just I'm
yeah,
just
that's
living out
ace.
living out my best life.
It sounds mad, but it's the same path I'm following. Honestly, it
Okay.
is exactly the same path that I'm following. I used to fight a long time ago as an amateur, and I had to retire. I broke my shoulder, broke my collarbone, and went into doing social media. And I don't know if people even know my story really. I'm here to learn yours, and then I went into growing that massively with here at Boxing TV. We've got a big following. I think last month we reached like 31 million people, like just in 1 month.
Jeez, well done.
And you're just on my own. I've got no team. This is just me, and I've got so much passion for it. So, and I'm with you. I'm in the same wave. And of course, from that, I'm one of the only people who ever commentate on a world title fight on America freelance. So I know what you mean, and I've done the ring announcing, by the way, just to be clear.
Mm.
Oh my god, I will never do that ever again. My
You
legs
didn't
were
like it?
killing me. I stood up for about 8 hours. It was horrible. Horrible. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to see what kind of picture you're in and what you eventually want to be. Because I've heard people say about you're going to be, the next Frank Warren and things like that, which is it's kind of really interesting to me. So tell me about these dreams at the start for you then. Because I was believing this manifestation stuff and believing in it, you can achieve it. What was your end goal, or do you still have an end goal?
Do you know, I think you're right about manifestation. I remember when I first joined Box Nation, obviously there was the whole online marketing, there was the digital manager thing. Essentially, my role was to try to make subscriptions smoother on the website. That was like
Yeah.
kind of one of the things. Deal with the apps and stuff like that. Which is why, like when I've got opinions on DAZN, that they come from a more of a qualified place than your average fan, because I was there with Box
Yeah.
Nation doing all of this stuff, but. I remember going to Bunce's boxing hour, and I got a photo done on the sofa with just me with next to the screen of Bunce's boxing hour. I thought, yeah, I look good there. That's a bit of me, that. And
Okay, okay.
I've always been like comfortable on stage or speaking in front of people. That's never been an issue with me. And I guess I've probably always wanted to be a boxing TV presenter, and I'm just sort of working my way towards it, I guess. I mean, I'm kind of doing it, but when you're doing it, you don't really realize you're just getting your head down and working, and that's
Yeah.
sort of where I am with it. What is the end goal? I seem to just be. I just things just keep happening, and I'll just keep doing it.
Right.
And I'd imagine when I get to a place where it looks like, oh yeah, this is it, you've cracked it, I'll probably still have more and more goals. So if I look back, like 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't think that I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I know I just back myself to do stuff. And when I
Yeah.
get presented with an opportunity, when they say, give this a go, oh, do you fancy doing that? I'll say yes. And
Yeah.
I just trust myself.
I like it. No, I like it loads. It's a nice insight for me to hear, actually, as well. I mean, I'll tell you a story, and I don't think many people know out there this happened, but it's quite recent. And Bunsey, you mentioned Bunsey, and I've got loads of
Mhm.
respect for Bunsey, loads. And it was in Telford, actually. Well, not this time. It was the time before. And I followed him outside. And by the way, Bunsey, if you get to see this, mate, massive amount of respect to you. We've cleared it up since. But I followed him out, him and Richie Woodall. And as I looked at him, I said, Steve, he turned around, I went, I'm having your job soon. And he went, you what? I went, I'm having your job soon. I'm telling you, I'm having your job soon. And at the time, I was like, I shook his hand and obviously showed him loads of love and that.
Yeah.
I thought, oh God, I made myself look an absolute mong here. So,
Well, you're manifesting. Essentially, you were manifesting yourself potentially getting chinned by Steve Bunce.
yeah, that's what I can still do it more. And I tweeted him the next day and said, "Listen, Steve, ultimate respect, but I'm having your job. I've got to get it in my head. You know what I mean to do that." But you boxing? You said, did you ever box yourself? Did you ever do any charity stuff or bit of training?
No, absolutely not. I'm not a fighter. I like talking about boxing. I like watching boxing. I love everything about the sport, but I don't want to be taking any punches. And also, if I start giving out punches, I'm going to start hurting people. I mean, I could do like 25
Exactly.
press ups now, so you can't be taking risks like that. I'll end up
Don't
getting
want to see
banged up.
Fury and Joshua just knocked out everywhere. Do you know what I mean? You can't. You're
Yeah,
dangerous, man, Dev.
there would be a trail of destruction, Dan, and I just can't risk it.
I absolutely love it. I love it. So you said about this was it Dev's boxing hour or something like that? I think
No,
called,
it was
wasn't
it
on?
was
Something like that, actually.
Bunce's boxing hour was a thing on Box Nation and previously on Setanta, right? It was his weekly show. It was amazing. I loved it. I was watching it back in the Setanta days, and I sort of manifested, I guess, everything. Like as soon as I got my job at Box Nation, I knew, right, I've got to get myself to the studio because it was all separate. The Box Nation office was at that point in Knightsbridge, and the TV studio was in like Shepherd's Bush. But I knew I had to get myself over to that studio, go and meet Steve Bunce, go and meet Barry Jones, get around it all. And I got a photo next to the big sign which said Bunce's Box Now. I sat on the sofa, and I just thought, yeah, it is inevitable,
Mhm.
and I just sort of backed myself to do it.
Good lad. Good lad. I've got some love coming in from the guys following. So Nathan Dyer, true story, chased him outside. It did. I really did. I really did. Dean Beddoes, man after my own art. Louise Heaney, beautiful lady, love it a bit. Laughing at me being stupid, probably. And Leslie Webb said, "Hi Dev, enjoy your interview and etc. Keep up the great work." So
Thank
I
you
want to
very
ask you
much.
just a question, professionally, really. So how much do and you answered it a little bit of it earlier on, by the way, when you said about doing the media stuff, which is brilliant. How much do pressing questions from the media affect your, let's say, opinion of that person? Because the reason I'm saying this, I very rarely go to press conferences because that's not how I do. I like to get to know the person. I'm not going to ask him the same question over and over again. How's training been? You know the deal. You've done a million of them. I like this. I like learning about the story and showing the fans that they're actual real people, if that makes sense. But when you've got someone who's on, I know it's happened to Nathan before because he told me about it. But when you've got someone who's pressing you, let's say you're looking after Tyson Fury and you've got someone there asking you a pressing question that you shouldn't really be asking. How much does that annoy you?
So what they're asking him a pressing question. Is that what you're saying?
So let's say, for instance, Nathan Heaney, you're around Nathan Heaney as part of Queensberry, and someone from the media is asking you a daft question that would potentially put you in jeopardy or put your job at risk. Does that really annoy you? Because that would really wind me up.
Yeah, I mean, so when I'm doing interviews, when people are interviewing me, it doesn't really happen that often. I mean, I'll try not to do any interviews with people that I don't know at all or recognise, and they look like time wasters, because you can get to these press conferences that there is an extremely low barrier for entry. So you could be in a situation where you are surrounded with people who could have stupid questions, but. Yeah, I mean, I've been all right so far. I'm quite nimble, and I'll try. If I think it's going somewhere silly, I'll shut it down. But no, it's okay. It's all part of the game, really, isn't it? There's far more pressing questions for fighters, basically, and fighters that they'll try and throw off and stuff. But it's not really my role at Queensberry to sort of babysit the fighters. It has been, as part of done many things there, but it's not my thing at the moment. So.
It was based around something that happened.
Go on. I thought he's got something in mind here. Where is he going?
Wherever he going? I'm never going to lead you like horrible. I don't deal with that. That's why I don't do these press conferences thing. I have long relationships and the fighters all around the world, legends. That's not how I roll. I saw a thumbnail of someone who I saw your tweet saying something like, "Oh, you've really done me there." I think it was something around Joshua. If I'm right or wrong there, if you can put some context to me. But I thought, has that wound him up a bit?
No, not at all. That was that was an interview with IFL TV, where I think they were just going around interviewing everyone post Joshua versus Franklin and gathering everyone's thoughts. It's content, right? They've got to they get views out of it, not necessarily out of me, but they get views out of it, and it keeps it all churning over. So that was the thumbnail. Was just basically I was making a face like this, which I would hope that you would choose one of my nicer expressions to make a thumbnail, but it didn't annoy me. I mean, it was.
I've just screenshotted that, by the way. Just
Knew you would. Just stop. I've just got to stop making stupid faces during interviews. I'm finding during the press conferences as well. Like I'm loving it. There was a Tyson Fury Chisora press conference, and I thought this is probably the biggest press conference I've ever done. It's a Tyson Fury one, and the photographer showed me photos afterwards. I was just there was nothing I could use, almost nothing. So horrible, mate. Horrible.
I had one with Jimmy Smith the other day, the young amateur who come through with Frank, and he came on the show. Yes, he came on the show just about a week or two before his debut, and I took a picture with him the other day. I swear to God, it looked like Gollum. Honestly, it's horrible. I was like, even put a picture on that. I actually look like Gollum. I don't normally look like Gollum. I don't think.
Yeah,
do I?
You just got to be careful. Like I think everyone's got a bit of Gollum in them, and certain lights, certain angles, it will bring it out, and you just got to be careful, Dan, and just try and make sure it don't happen again, mate.
Oh, but that for a thumbnail, everybody's got a bit of Gollum in them.
A bit of Gollum in them.
I won't do that. I promise. Now I won't. Right. I want to talk about the current state of play in boxing in the world, and I want your personal opinion. This is not in any way, and I'm so passionate about this. Isn't in any way knocking that fighter. It's just more of a fan. What do you feel is going to happen? So, of course, Anthony Joshua. I don't know if you heard the news a little bit earlier on, but he said that he's not going to fight till December, which I thought was a bit of a shock considering the fact that he's with Derek James, and he's. I mean, I can understand from the perspective of trying to develop and things like that, but he's not getting any younger. Do you feel Anthony Joshua can make his way back to a world title?
I think, and obviously, look, anything I say, it gets attacked as heavily biased and all that. But I'm just going to give you my honest opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think he can win a fight against Tyson Fury, who's the WBC champion. I don't think he can win a fight against Alexander Usyk, who has the other belts. I don't think he can beat Joe Joyce either. I don't think he can beat Deontay Wilder. So, ruling those guys out. I don't see his route to becoming a world champion again. And also this December thing. I mean, there was no talk after the fight of any injury. There was a lot of talk about activity and keeping busy with Derek James and needing another fight before potentially a big one at the end of the year. And as recently as a few days ago, like Eddie's done interviews about that, and it seemed to be the collective will. So this new development seems to have come out of the blue somewhat. And for me, it leads you to a place of thinking, okay, so if he doesn't want to fight now and he's waiting for December, and December, I don't know, does that mean it's a Saudi fight? Does it mean bigger money? I don't know. If so, then does that mean you're waiting because you're worried that if you box before that, you might get chinned? So maybe the warm-up against anyone credible may end badly for him and jeopardize the big bag that could come in December. It sounds like a cash-out strategy.
He's avoiding something. He's definitely avoiding something. It's what?
But look,
it's April.
Yeah, flip that though. He might actually be injured. You know, his nose was all busted up, etc. I'm sure more's going to come out of it. If it is the case he's injured, then okay, fine, fair play, and that's all good. But if there's something where he doesn't want to take an interim fight because there's a risk that he may lose and therefore jeopardize a bigger purse at the end of the year, that doesn't quite line up with trying to remain active as a fighter and learning under Derek James. It pushes more towards, let me get as much money as I can, as quickly as I can, and get the hell out of this sport. And that's the vibe I'm getting from him. That was the vibe I was getting from him in the build-up to the fight, where he said it was all about money. But yeah, that's kind of my view on it. It is all about money, really. But yeah, there seem to be conflicting messages out there, and I think the actions will really tell us the truth there.
I think the main benefit of the platform I run compared to going to press conferences and things like that is that I can freely speak what I think. I'll never be disrespectful. Make that absolutely clear. And this is something that's on my website. You know, every fighter puts their life on the line. They all deserve the same respect, 100%. But we're talking about, as far as fights here, something's different with Joshua. It is. And I'd like everybody out there who's watching now. Dean Beddoes just said there's no Gollum in me. Funny. I want everybody out there right now to tell me what you think is wrong with Joshua, because it's got to be something up here. Now, I'll give you a really good example, actually. Matt Legg is going to be coming on very shortly. He fought Joshua earlier in his career, and he did really well against him. But Joshua broke his eye socket. Back then, that guy was a wrecking ball. He was walking through people, wasn't scared to take a shot. Look what he was doing against Dylan White. Look what he was doing against Vladimir Klitschko. But since then, I even think since Klitschko, he just doesn't seem to have the aggression in him. I think that's from a viewer, from a fan. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Oh, I completely agree with you, and I think, and I've got on record saying this, tweeting it, I just think the guy that knocked out Dillian White, poking his tongue out, swinging, all of that kind of thing, really fearless, would have walked through Jermaine Franklin, not been as, and he'd have thrown the third and the fourth punch. He'd have been throwing left hooks with, there would be far less caution because he's more fearless, more raw, I guess, less scars. And I'm talking about mental scars. Mental scars have come now because of the performances against Klitschko. I think that was the first one, great. On the floor, got up, won the fight, but still on the floor against a guy who, he didn't really lay a glove on Tyson Fury 18 months ago. This guy he shouldn't have been causing Joshua those sorts of problems in theory. And afterwards, he talked about how he didn't want to be in fights like that. He talked about he doesn't want to be in life and death fights. So something happened in that fight that he didn't like, left a bit of a scar. Then we saw big scars develop around Andy Ruiz. And that's kind of where it is. I just think right now he boxes like a guy who is struggling with the ghosts of the past.
Yeah, do you know what? I completely agree with you. I really do, and I genuinely wish him all the best in the world. I wish him all the best. He's British, and I want him to get better. Not get better. I want him to, physically and talent-wise, he's got it. He's you don't be a world, Olympic champion. And a world champion if you're the real deal. We get a few things from people saying, though, where was it now? I saw one just a little bit earlier talking about the fact that he's been, not this one particularly, but confidence gone, was told he's better than he was for too long. That's where I believed, and believed his own hype. Don't get me wrong. he was looked after very well. He was looked after very well. I mean, you fight, Charles Martin. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I honestly think the real Prince Charles would have done a better job than Charles Martin against Joshua. I thought he was absolutely awful. The walking the earth like a god and all that. I mean, he's got, in my opinion, he's one of the worst world champions to ever hold a belt in my personal opinion. Again, no disrespect, mate, but it's just as far as ability is concerned. Let's have a look here. Dean Beddoes says he's lost the fire in his belly. Yeah, there's something gone. And Richard Vernon can see AJ retiring within the next 18 months. If he doesn't get a title shot, he's not been the same fighter since his last loss. Again, I think it's been more than just that last loss. Moving away from Joshua, going on to Tyson Fury. So Tyson Fury, of course, called Alexander Usyk out, and they were going to have this big fight. I think it was Wembley. When he then said, listen, 70-30, Usyk said yes. I think we all never really expected that to happen. However, it looked like it was on. What is your understanding, Dev, of what went on there? Was it Usyk? Was it Fury? Do you know anything more than I know?
I mean, ultimately, it was Usyk that walked away from the fight. That everyone's come out and agreed that happened. I think what's happened here is the fight was meant to happen in Saudi Arabia, and with Saudi Arabia, there was going to be this much money, huge life-changing money. When Saudi Arabia said, actually, we can't do it in April, we're looking at the end of the year, suddenly it became Wembley, April 29th, and it became this much money. And then Tyson Fury's looking at it and saying, okay, well, I deserve more of this. This is in the UK. This is in my backyard. So I deserve more of this. Usyk, take 30%. Usyk said yes. At that point, Usyk's got this much. So suddenly, in Usyk's toughest fight of his whole career, with the most on the line, 4 belts, he's gone from making this much Saudi money to making less than what he made in a defense against Anthony Joshua. So you've got to bear that in mind. You've got to bear in mind the financial difference between doing it at Wembley for 30% to doing it in Saudi Arabia for a huge amount of money. And there's rumors of talks with like Deontay Wilder behind the scenes, and they're trying to figure something out there. So maybe he's got whispers. I think there's whispers of, why don't you just wait and see if you can do it in Saudi? See if you can come for your fights, do it in Saudi. The fight's still there, and it will make loads and loads more money. Or maybe Wilder in the USA, if they can figure it all out, maybe that makes more money than 30% of a Wembley pot against Tyson Fury. I think there's so many things to factor in. And there's talk of Usyk called Fury's bluff by accepting 30%. But maybe Fury actually called Usyk's bluff, because Usyk called Fury's bluff. This is what I'm hearing, kind of assuming that Tyson wasn't actually going to be ready, because that was what the talk was. So he goes, yeah, all right, yeah. I'll take that. April 29th, 30%. Come on then, we going. By the way, only April 29th. And that's what Usyk's team kept saying publicly. That 30% we will only accept for April 29th. When it emerged that Tyson was in fact ready, it became very real. And suddenly you are just getting 30% of a big Wembley pie, which is when the whole rematch thing coming up. All right, yeah, but 70-30 to us in the rematch. And it's very disappointing. It all ends with he said, she said. But ultimately, I think this whole thing falls apart because of what the money could have been in Saudi Arabia and what the money could yet be in Saudi Arabia. Remember, this is all of the marbles. So I don't think Usyk in particular would be taking a fight where he's making less than he did in his last fight when he's fighting a more difficult fight. And that's the position he found himself in.
It's a really interesting stance. Never thought of it like that. So that Fury kind of calling,
because everyone's obviously just blaming Tyson. It's all and the reason for that really is because Tyson is the one on the phone calling him this, calling him that, being aggressive in negotiations, and he's the vocal one, and he's seen as the kind of the bully in that piece. So he's going to get the blame. But there's a lot more to it than that. Fighters don't duck each other. things fall apart largely over money and timing. And the money and timing perhaps is better later in the year. Should Tyson Fury still be the WBC champions? Should Usyk still be the WBA? The rest of the championships as well, if he can hold on to them. And Usyk will back himself to beat Daniel Dubois, beat whoever he needs to get to December. And Tyson, he hasn't got a mandatory on him. In theory, he could just sit out. I don't know what he's going to do, but that's the broader picture which appears to be unfolding.
I like it. You pulled the words out of my mouth as well. So Usyk Daniel Dubois is rumored to have been going ahead. Do you feel? And I know you've got, obviously, again, I'm not trying to give the pressing thing because with Frank Warren. I'm just thinking again as a fan. Do you feel that Daniel Dubois has a chance against Alexander Usyk, considering the fact, and put it more to it, considering the fact that Alexander Usyk is also a gold medalist, also an undisputed cruiserweight champion, also a unified heavyweight world champion. Do you feel that he's got a chance against someone with that kind of skill set?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I think that the more raw version of Anthony Joshua could have beaten Alexander Usyk. That one that we talked about earlier, swinging, poking his tongue out against Dillian Whyte. That guy who was just big, hit very hard, fearless, would have beaten Alexander Usyk, in my view. Certainly would have stood a better chance. This Daniel Dubois, he fights quite fearlessly. You see this against Kevin Lerida. I know Kevin Lerida had him over a few times. He still got up and knocked the guy out. I think he's got aggression, which and there's the fearlessness. I think he's got size. He's a natural heavyweight. I think he's got power. And the two key things that he's got in this fight, which give him a great chance against Alexander Usyk, he's got a brilliant jab. Not many heavyweights have a brilliant jab. He's got a brilliant jab, and he's got world-class power. Ask anyone in boxing who's been hit by him, either in sparring or in the ring. They know they've been hit by Daniel Dubois. Even Joe Joyce never really took anything flush, but he talked about Daniel Dubois' power after the fight. So with those attributes, he's got a hell of a chance. And having seen how... there's another way of looking at the Usyk-Joshua fights now, because Jermaine Franklin looked all right against Joshua as well. So maybe that takes the gloss, maybe that takes the shine off of Usyk's wins over Joshua. Before that, he didn't have a great fight against Derek Chisora. He showed that he didn't really like the pressure that much. I think that Usyk's going to be a big favourite. There's no doubt about that. He's got all the credentials to be that. He is 10 years older. He is smaller, and he doesn't hit as hard. And I don't think he's been hit as hard as what Daniel Dubois will hit him.
It's interesting. I want to talk about you, Dev, professionally. So, of course, you're all over the place. These press conferences, you're going all around the world in some cases. And the reason why I'm asking you this, because we had Thomas, he's a good friend of mine, Thomas Treiber, who's a ring announcer who come on the show only, I think it was a week before Telford last. Lovely bloke. We had him rapping and everything. He's a top guy. He was saying, he's really tough on his family. On his personal life, having to, kind of be everywhere, run around everywhere. What's it like for you? Is it tough? Because I know when I've been over in America and stuff, it's hard work, and you're doing it a lot more often.
I haven't got kids, so that's a good thing. So it's just really Mrs. Sahni, and I am so lucky. I've got a very, very understanding wife, and it's all right. I mean, we'll speak when I'm in the hotel. We'll FaceTime and that, and yeah, I think she knows how important everything is to me. Even like today and tomorrow, she knows I've got a big week coming up, so she's sort of giving me space. I've got so much prep to do, and obviously I wanted to do this as well. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I've just she's very understanding, so I'm in a good place. I'd imagine if I did have children, if that was something I was looking to do, it would become more difficult. But it's not in my immediate plans, largely because of this work life that I've got, this workload. So it's not. It's been okay. I'm not in the Thomas Treiber situation.
Bless your heart. So going to this fight then this weekend, I'll be going around my friends who's watching the stream, watching this. I always go around for the big fights. Joe Joyce against Zhang. I'm going to give you my take on the fight, and then I'm going to hear yours. So I don't think this makes for an absolute barnstormer. barnstormer. There's no way that Joyce is just going to walk through this guy. He's far too resilient. He was a very, very good amateur. This guy's got an head like a bowling ball. And he's just been in there, and in my opinion, beat Hrgovic. You know, I honestly think he beat Hrgovic. Nobody just beats Hrgovic. Hrgovic is a top operator. So, of course, you're gonna shout for your boy, but this is a tough fight. What's your opinion on it?
It is a tough fight. I think the general feeling around this fight is Zhilei Zhang will be very dangerous for the first half of the fight, and Joe Joyce can't afford to just take Zhilei Zhang's shots. I mean, in my view anyway, I think he needs to be a bit more cautious like he was against Daniel Dubois. Against Daniel Dubois, the feeling heading into that was, well, Joe Joyce will just be there to hit and Daniel Dubois will punch right through him. But Joe Joyce wasn't there to hit. Joe Joyce, he sort of took all of his amateur pedigree, that well-schooled jab, everything that he had pedigree-wise, experience-wise, knowledge-wise, he took that into the fight and really, you know, we saw what happened in the Daniel Dubois fight, but also he respected Dubois' power. So he didn't just stand in front of him or try and walk through him. I think for the first half of this fight, he will respect Zhang's power, and then the gas tank should start kicking in. And the feeling is Zhang will gas, Joe Joyce will keep on going, and juggernaut mode will be activated. But you can't spend those first 6 rounds taking shots from someone who punches very, very hard in Zhilei Zhang. If he lands flush, that'll be the hardest that Joe Joyce has been hit. Bearing in mind, Daniel Dubois never really landed flush. So that's my feeling on it. I'm not going to commit to a winner. I'm a bit bitten and shy by my experience with Artur Beterbiev, where in the build up to the fight, I was saying Yard was going to knock him out, and then Beterbiev was fairly cold with me in fight week. Didn't really give me much at all. So I've still got a lot of work to do with Zhang this week, so I'm going to reserve judgment for a while.
No, I like it, and a massive respect to both fighters. For me, I can see this being like a Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Well, I think it's got the potential to be fight of the year idea. I really, really.
It's the best heavyweight fight that's been scheduled this year. There's no doubt about that. Sadly, because we didn't get Fury Usyk April 29th, so it's kind of happened, and it's a better fight, you know, than Joshua Franklin was, and there's not really anything else. So it's a good one.
It's an hell of a fight. Looking forward to it. Dev, I know we've seen each other about, and I've shouted you and said hello and things. You probably didn't recognize me, but I just want to say from my end, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Materializing, whatever you want to call it, manifesting, whatever you want to call it. I will be working with you, mate. I honestly believe that. But for as far as I'm concerned, it's just a pleasure to bring you on the show. Really, really is.
You too.
All the best to you, your lovely
you
partner who's been so supportive. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, then give me a shout, mate.
And vice versa. Thanks for having me, Dan. Appreciate it, mate.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Absolutely 100% mine. Cheers, mate. What a lad. What a lad. I love that. You know, that manifestation stuff and believing in yourself and all that. I've got it buzzes me up. Absolutely love that. Love that. Right. So I'm going to be bringing on my next guest now, who, to be honest, I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued. And Matt's probably thinking, oh, God, what's he going to say? I'm intrigued by his background. I'm intrigued. I want to hear some of these stories because he's got so many stories to tell. And I think this is going to knock your socks off. I really, really do. So his name is Matt Legg, and he was a professional boxer. He's been involved in the good and the bad side of life, let's just say. I can see him smiling in the background there. But we'd like to hear these real, raw, true stories that makes people them. So this is going to bring on Matt. Mr. Matt Legg, welcome to the show. How are you getting on?
Good, thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I'm doing well, mate. Yeah, doing well.
Bless you. Pleasure's all mine. I actually stumbled upon you the other day with your YouTube channel, and I was like, hey, this guy's quite cool. I like him. And speak to him. It's a pleasure to bring you onto the show. So I want you to summarize, really, for me, as much as well as the fans. Everybody out there, guys, make sure your comments coming in because this is going to be an absolute eye-opener. Summarize your life for me in 30 seconds.
I got into a lot of fights as a youngster. Wasn't a troublemaker, but helping other people and people picking on me. Ended up having a dislike to the police because the police hit me with truncheon and strangled me at a young age. So I got into fights, went to prison for a very short time, learnt to box in prison with my mate Norman Buckland. And as I left prison, took on the amateur boxing, did very well as an amateur. I got to the ABA final at super heavyweight, and I only lost to the ABA champion twice, Matthew Granger. So I did well as an amateur, turned professional, and it was on and off in the pros, but I got to fight a couple of big names with Anthony Joshua and James Toney right at the end. So capped off my pro career, which was a bit hit and miss. But yeah, I was involved in crime as well, in between and here and there. Got involved in crime, and now I'm trying to encourage children away from crime and away from drugs and drink and anything like that, and knife crime. So yeah, just trying to put something positive back now, really.
It's amazing. I love that. Absolutely love that, mate. Make sure you keep your comments coming in, guys. And make sure you drop a like and share. I'm going to be giving a prize away a little bit later on. So make sure you share. Make sure you type that you shared so I can see it, and I'll get it out to you. So yeah, so I want to start from the beginning then. So you mentioned you were bullied a little bit as you were
yeah, it was like getting older kids or little gangs would start on me all the time. It was more of that.
Okay. I'll ask you a question then. Did you ever see one of these older kids when you were older?
I had fights. Well, afterwards, you mean? After they'd. I had a couple of times where I had a gang come up to school, and there was about 5 or 6 of them, and then a baseball bat. I hit with a baseball bat, and it was a bit of a standoff, and I just took the shots, and then the rest were trying to get me on the floor. But I bumped into them. I bumped into a couple of them, and I got them back. A few times I got them back, but the majority of the people I fought, we ended up shaking hands eventually, and I speak to almost all of them now. These are all going back years, but everyone I did have street fights with, almost all of them, we talk now. We get on.
That's cool. That's good then. I like it. So of course you learned to box in prison. Which is ace. I like that. You're doing something positive. So tell us about that then. How did you end up finding yourself in prison?
Yeah, so the prison one was, I was about 18 years old then, and what I did, I was always weight training from the age of 13 years old. I liked to do weights, and by the time I got to 18, I was very big. I was about 18 and a half stone, and very strong, and I was going out drinking all the time. Me and my mates would go out drinking, and one particular night, the doorman were trying to throw a friend of mine down the stairs. I've come out and saw them trying to throw him down. So I've jumped in to help him and had a fight with these doormen. And then the police have come in, took me out. I've then waited outside, gone back in and had another fight with a doorman. And the police have come in as well and started grabbing hold of me. So I've had a fight with the police and doorman and whatnot, and ended up coming out of the police station the following day. I got arrested again for another fight when I was outnumbered by the police again with another situation. And I've got nothing against the police now, by the way. I've got to say that, because this was going back many, many years. I know they're doing their job, but back then I believe that there were bullies. There were a lot of bullies because of the way they strangled me, knocked me off my little motorbike, and they strangled me, hit me with a torch when I was about 15, 16 years old. So I had this idea that the police were bullies, which is stupid, obviously, because you can't generalize a whole group of people like that. So I know they're doing their job. But anyway, went to prison at the age of 18. It was Woodhill young offenders. And Charlie Bronson was in there at the time as well. He was in the prison within the prison. So there's like a prison in the middle with like a secure unit there. He was in there then as well. And I got to become friends with Charlie later on, many, many years later. But Norman Buckland was the man in there who encouraged me to keep away from trouble, and rather than fighting on the street, to box. And we asked for equipment, like gum shield, head guards, gloves.
Yeah.
And the prison authorities said no, because it would encourage the young offenders to fight and cause trouble. But we think it would have calmed them down a bit, really. But they never let us have the equipment. So what we did, we just wrapped socks around our knuckles, a couple of pairs of socks, and we would go in, like me and Norman would go and spar.
Okay.
in the shower area. So it was quite a rough introduction to boxing. You know, normally you'll have like pad work and bag work in the gym. My introduction was me and Norman basically fighting each other. So I enjoyed it though. I really enjoyed it. And Norman was one of the hardest people in the cage. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Interesting life. And obviously you turned professional and you fought one of my very good friends, James Toney, as well as Anthony Joshua. I mean, there's not many. I mean, there's just like 10 fights, something like that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Something around that. I mean, how lucky do you feel to like share the ring with James Toney, who's one of the best to ever put gloves on? Do you know? And don't get me wrong, it was the twilight of his career, but he was still absolutely capable at this point.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he wasn't that long before he fought Evander Holyfield, was he? I bet around when
he was the same weight. It was exactly the same weight as when he fought Holyfield.
And he stopped Holyfield.
He stopped Holyfield, which only Riddick Bowe was the only other man to ever stop Holyfield.
Absolutely, and he dominated him in that fight. To be fair.
He stuck his tongue out at Holyfield and everything. He really did. It was amazing. I was going to ask you before I talk about James Toney. So you're friends with him, are you?
Yeah, he's
amazing.
I love him very much. Yeah, he's all through this. To be fair, I interviewed him many years ago, and I'll do the same with you, Matt. You know, we build a community here, and you know, and I support people's careers and stuff. I'm all about positivity and helping people. So, and obviously James now, I help him with loads of stuff when it comes to like logos and like all the design stuff, and helping with that. And I know his family and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty.
I'll give him my regards when you see him because
I'll get him send you a message. I'll get him send you a message.
I love
him. He's a funny guy. He really is. We've got a message here. The Enquirer 1.0 from YouTube. Cheers for tuning in on YouTube, mate. Big up, Matt Legg.
Hi, Ben. That's my mate, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Oh, yeah, sound. And our Stokey legend, Nathan Heaney, he's one of our own. Is he Stokey, Ben? He must be.
Yeah, Ben. Yeah, Ben is, yeah.
Go on, Ben.
He's Stoke-on-Trent.
Well, anyway, nice one, mate. Nice one.
Yeah. Cheers, Ben.
Bless you.
Yes, James Toney was. I was honoured, and he was such a different character before the fight to after, because we all stayed. It was prize fighter, Eddie Hearn's prize fighter, and it was a USA versus UK teams, and we all stayed in the hotel together. But James Toney kept himself away at the top. He never came down, whereas the other American team sat with us. So it was the English team sitting with the American team having dinner and lunch together and really getting on, even though we were going to fight each other the following day. It was a really good experience. And I got told by Jason Gavin, who sparred a lot with James Toney, he advised me to, regarding James Toney, you'll never knock him out, he said. He said, no one will ever knock him out. He's too good defensively and his chin's too good. He said, so you've got to just touch him and move, which goes against my normal style. My normal style is how I came out against AJ. Very aggressive, head movement, rolling, coming in behind double jab, slipping. So I couldn't do that. I had to sort of back off, touch James Toney, move out of the way, touch him, move, don't get caught with any counters. The thing was not to throw any right hands at him because I know he'll counter you, which is what he did in the third round. But he sort of tricked me a little bit because he threw a lot of light shots. So where I'm blocking him on the gloves, and I learned from this because I always throw hard shots all the time, but where I'm blocking him on the gloves, I'm thinking he doesn't hit that hard. So I took a risk in the third round, come out with trying to throw a big right, and he just slipped and just countered it with that lovely right hand right on the chin, and it did rocked me for a second, but the ref then stopped it. I was all right when the ref stopped it. I could have carried on, but the ref stopped it. But James Toney was brilliant afterwards. He was lovely, totally different person.
Yeah,
we had a bit of food together at the hotel, and he was giving me a bit of advice. He said, don't always throw hard shots. He said, throw a couple of light ones, then throw a couple of hard ones and mix it up a bit. And it made sense. And I learned a lot. I use that style now. I use a little bit of the James Toney style when I'm sparring people now.
Yeah.
The old Philly shell type thing, because it's a lot more, saves me a lot of energy, really.
Yeah, the shoulder roll.
Yeah, I love the shoulder rolls, and he was one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time, wasn't he? But
yeah. He's up there with, the best. Yeah, he's top three best defensive ever, and the Mayweather's in there, probably something like Willie Pep or something like that. But without a shadow of a doubt, he's a lovely man and very, very skilled, very skilled. So learning more about your story then. So you fought, of course, fought Anthony Joshua. Just like every other guest, I've done my research on you and finally, you actually came out in that first round, and you caught him with some really heavy shots.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where he gets a bit Bambi-legged, and he hit you with the right hand, which I think did something because you didn't seem the same after that. And then he hit you with the right uppercut, didn't he, on the inside, which I believe did some damage to your eye. Tell me about that. What happened to your eye?
Yeah, so you're right. Not a lot of people noticed that bit. He got me before the uppercut with a combo, and it got through the gloves, and it sort of shocked me really because it was the difference in power. I've never felt any power like that, and it sort of shocked me a bit and put me off my game plan. So as I bent forward, he landed the last uppercut, and it broke my eye socket. So as I was trying to get up, I couldn't actually see. I thought my eyes were bleeding, there was blood coming out, and I literally couldn't see. But I had 3 months worth of nerve damage. So my face was numb on the right side for about 2 months, just numb. And then the feeling started coming back gradually. It was hot and cold. But yeah, it was a powerful, powerful shot. But when I did come out at him, the plan was attack him for 2 rounds, just full on. And if I haven't took him out in 2 rounds, just take the consequences. It was a full on attack. That's how we trained in the gym to fight him. And it was like, get low, like Mike Tyson, roll, head, slip underneath the jabs, step out onto the other side of his guard and try and catch him. I nearly got him out a big left hook in the corner, but he just leant back. He was too good. He's too good, and he was young, and I think he was a really fast fighter. Then he was 16 stone 10. Yeah. He was very quick and he was very aggressive. If he caught you with a stiff jab, he would then try and finish you off.
But when you look at him now, though, Matt, you must think, God, I wish I was in there with him.
Yeah, he's a lot. He's very cautious now. Obviously, since the Ruiz loss, he's fighting a bit more, very careful. A lot of people say gun shy, don't they? So he's fighting with a very safety first approach. He doesn't want to get knocked out and stopped again, I imagine. But I think he was just very entertaining and successful how he started off his career. Dillian White fight and against Povetkin or Pulev and all them early fights, he just a wrecking machine. He really was. Yeah. Gary Cornish, when he fought Gary Cornish, he caught Gary Cornish with a jab, saw that he caught him and just immediately followed up, and he had a real good killer instinct. He really did.
Absolutely. Tyson Fury had some advice for you, didn't he, ahead of the fight with Anthony Joshua, which I thought was quite funny. Tell us about that.
Can I swear on it or not?
Well, it's past 9 now, and it's my channel.
So yeah. Tyson Fury sent me a bit of advice because I'd sparred with Tyson, Huey, and Eli Franco and a few of the others up in the gym before the James Toney fight, I think that was. But Tyson sent me a message saying for the AJ fight, he went, headbutt him, kick him in the bollocks, bite him, poke him in the eyes, do anything you can for 1 round, just take him out of there. And apparently when they were all watching it, because they were all cheering, when I nearly caught him in the corner and I came out fast, they were cheering and going, yeah.
Oh my God, he's a funny guy, isn't he?
He's funny, yeah, he's funny.
He really, really is. So one thing I like, and I love the fact that you spoke about this for the masses. So you've been speaking a lot about kind of anxiety, your kind of mental health. What advice have you got for people like dealing with mental health? I actually asked Tyson Fury this same question. I was the last person to interview Tyson Fury before he fought Wilder 2 on the international press conference, and he was so open with it, and he was so cool about it. It wasn't any of the bullshit questions. It was, it was real. So tell people out struggling out there, how can they manage this kind of thing?
Regarding anxiety, and very similar with depression as well. But so anxiety, I've had it a few times, and panic attacks. Mine was through drinking 3 days in a row, so that all the adrenaline got released. And when the adrenaline gets released, you get fight or flight. And if you're sitting in your bedroom drinking a cup of tea and your adrenaline's released, you don't know what the fight or flight is going on. So you don't know what to fight, or so you feel like running and getting out of the house. So what I learned was, because I researched anxiety and depression and stuff, how to combat it. Yeah. And what I found is you always need to get, if you can, a good night's sleep. You need to be getting up and about, get out of the house. If you work, getting some fresh air, countryside walks. I love bike riding. I do my walking, my weight training, any exercise to release serotonin. I've been doing cold baths, cold showers as well, which really helps.
I hear a lot about
Breathing,
that.
yeah, they're really good. Cold baths, cold showers. You have to. It's good to do that with breathing exercises. Breathing is really important for anxiety as well, because I used to get anxiety attacks sparring in the gym. When I'd get out of breath, I couldn't catch my breath. It would spark an anxiety attack, and I'd feel the walls closing in. So I'd have to jump out the ring after the round ended, and I'd have to go outside to get in the space because I couldn't breathe. And I realised it was an anxiety.
It's serious. It's serious. Like when you get
it. Yeah. Mine was brought on by breathing. Mine was actually brought on by breathing. Wow. So because I had asthma, it brought on anxiety. I never knew what it was. But I would recommend anyone to take magnesium tablets as well. Good healthy food is another thing. Stay away from drink, alcohol and drugs, especially because that can bring on anxiety. That's all the things I've done, and it's never come back. I've kept it at bay pretty much for years now. And depression, I've not had that for, well, I've had little small amounts, but nothing major for about 10 years. I've kept it all at bay because I make sure I get up, get out and about, fresh air, socialise, and you've got to look forward to little things every day. So always have something to look forward to, no matter how small it is, whether it's a bike ride, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's seeing your kids or coffee with someone, anything like that. You've got to have little, and then goals. It's good to have goals as well, stuff like that, and focuses. That's what I recommend. We're doing a thing with Shape MK now. I'm like the ambassador for Shape MK, which is an addiction and mental health treatment place, which is just started up. So I'll be doing more videos about that, which I did one the other day. I think you saw that I spoke about the anxieties, but we'll be doing more of those videos every week, discussing different stuff about maybe drinking and drugs and what I was doing and the effect it had, and stuff like that. But I am, wanting to help people out, because on my YouTube channel, I get so many people in the comments telling me that they suffer from a wide variety of mental health issues, depressions and anxieties and traumas and drug problems, drink problems. So I love talking to everyone in the comment section and trying to, if I can help, and sometimes they help me with advice as well. It works both ways.
Yeah, it's lovely, mate. That is. I like that. I really, really do. Going to the fans actually. So we've got top lads, Nathan, Matt, know them both. Brill. And Ronnie top fella, Matt. Lovely, great stuff.
Thank you, Ronnie.
If you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to see. I mean, Matt said this to me a little bit earlier on, but we've only just really started coming to YouTube. I've never touched YouTube before, which is a bit mental considering. But I've got that much. Like I've only put little bits on. I've got some of the stuff that's going to actually change boxing world. Really, stuff out there I've just never showed anybody. So
you've got an amazing channel. I went through your stuff and I saw you interview Larry Holmes. Brilliant interview with Larry Holmes. Shannon Briggs, you've got on there, and James Tony. You've got proper amazing interview, and it looks good as well. And all your shorts and stuff you're doing, I think your channel will blow up. I really do.
That's kind of you.
I'll support you. I'll share it and support it as much as I can.
Likewise, mate. Absolutely, likewise. That's really kind of you. Like I said, I'm new to this YouTube thing. Facebook, we do brilliant on it. Like I say, there's 31 million people we reached last month, just in 1 month. So it does well, and there's nobody else behind it apart from me, bloody grafting. So you know what it's like, grafting video and editing. It's hard work, but it's really
plan all the videos. You've got to plan ahead and to keep content coming. It's a hard thing to do.
It is. It really, really is. So
keep going with it, mate. You're going to do well.
That's really kind of you, mate. I wish you all the best too. I really do. So you had a long-standing relationship with Bronson, Charlie Bronson.
Yeah.
Which intrigued me. I didn't know anything about this. So tell us about, by the way, we've got people from all over the world. So if you're out there in America or anywhere else, Charlie Bronson is seen as the most dangerous prisoner ever in Britain. And they're trying to get him out of prison, which, I mean, it's not for me to say whether right or wrong. I don't really know the full story. I've seen the film. And it's mint, but like I say. So where does this relation come from with your relationship with Bronson?
Yeah, so obviously I knew about Charlie Bronson, obviously because he's so well known for so many years. But I had a gym. I got a gym in Milton Keynes in about 2008 or 9 it was, and Charlie Bronson's family had heard about me through my boxing. So they came into the gym and said, if Charlie gets released, would he be able to train in the gym? in my gym. And I said, yeah, tell Charlie he's more than welcome, which he was. He never got out, obviously, but they sent him a letter. He then replied, sent me a letter saying, Matt, really grateful for you letting me train in the gym. Here's my training routine. And he put me big A4 sheet covered. So I started, I became pen pals, and we started corresponding via letters. And then eventually he put me on his phone list. As a double A cat, you're only allowed 10 people on your phone list. So it's quite a privilege, really, to be one of those 10. And he would call me up quite regularly, and he'd always ask me what I was having for dinner. And because obviously he's stuck in there, he wants to sort of live his life through the phone calls and the visits. And he would always ask me what was going on outside the window. So I'd look out the window and say, I was a man with a dog. He'd ask me, what sort of dog is it? And he'd want to know every detail of what's going on. Really, really witty and funny man. People hear mainly the bad stuff, but he was very, very sharp and very witty. And I believe he's very intelligent as well. And people don't say, how can he be intelligent? He's done 50 years and he could have got out years ago. But I think he loved the notoriety and stuff, and he wanted to create this character that he's become. But he's got a lot more sides to him. He does so much work for charity and helping kids out and stuff. And he has got a different side to him. And he's 70 years old now. He's done 50 years, and he hasn't been in any trouble for, I think, 10 years now in prison. Never killed anyone, never done any horrible crimes and rapes and things like that, like some people do, and get out in no time at all. Done none of that. And he's now got to wait another 2 or 3 years before they look at releasing him again. But yeah,
surely you can't just keep someone inside for. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's got his reputation, and he might like the notoriety. Fair enough, but you can't just keep someone in prison just because of that. Surely, I mean, there's got to be more grounds than that's like life in prison.
Yeah, they've done it with Reggie Craig, didn't they? You almost become a political prisoner with them, where you've caused so much trouble and you're so well known. It's almost like they want to use you as an example. Like, if you're going to mess with us, we're going to do this to you, keep you in. So, and it's a shame because his mum Ira is coming up to 93, bless her. And I know all his family, Mark and everybody, and Lorraine and Andy, and they're a lovely, lovely family as well. And it would just be nice for them to get to see him and his mum to see him on the out.
Before 2 or 3 years is a long time for somebody who's 92, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And anything happens to Ira, I don't know how that would affect Charlie. Will he then? I don't know what will happen to him and his mental state in there. So yeah, it's a long wait again. Yeah, but I mean, he's a very interesting man, and obviously people know the bad side of him. But if you read his books, he's got a great sense of humour. He's got a really. He
seems. I mean, obviously, I've never met the guy, but he seems it with the in some of his films and things like that. He seems.
Yeah.
He does seem intelligent the way he comes across. And is it what's his name? Is it Tom Hardy?
Tom, yeah.
So Tom Hardy played Bronson, didn't he? And I don't know why it didn't come into my head, but I saw loads of pictures with you and Tom Hardy, the actor, of course. And I was thinking, why is he known Tom Hardy so well? So did this relationship come in from the film, and did you teach him a few things, or how did that come across? How did that come?
So what happened when the film was in process? I think 2007. Charlie said to all the family and to me, "I want you to go and meet this new actor who's going to play me," because Tom Hardy wasn't really well known at that point. I think he'd been in Black Hawk Down and a Star Trek movie and a couple of other little films, but he wasn't household name like he is now. So we all went down to the Blind Beggar in London to meet Tom. And just to, we got a few pictures. I didn't know who he was at that time. And Tom actually got a picture of me and we exchanged phone numbers, and I kept in touch with Tom. I said to my dad, I've met this actor called Tom Hardy. Do you know about him? And my dad went, yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. So I rang Tom up. I said, Tom, my dad's a big fan of yours, and put them on the phone together. And then I went to a few premieres with Tom, went to a few film festivals with him. He actually took me to the Iron Man film premiere. You know, the first Marvel film. I don't know if you like Marvel films, do you?
I love him.
Yeah. So the very first one was Iron Man. And I actually went down the red carpet with Tom Hardy and Toby Kebbell and my mate Mark Fish. So that was like a dream come true, that was one of them lists ticked off, bucket list, you know, to go to a big film premiere, sitting in the cinema with Tom, and Robert Downey Jr. was there and everyone. Yeah, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, then he went on to become a bigger star. I haven't seen much of him lately in the last few years, but he's still one of my favourite actors. He really is.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure at this. Are you going to teach me here? So were you involved in kind of any, let's say, unsanctioned fights on the street? Kind of, were you ever involved in any of that? Because I've seen videos like things talking about Decker Heaney, people talking about Danny Christie, and were you ever involved in that kind of stuff, or was that never a part of you?
I was involved in street fights, but I was never involved in. I was actually in the corner for one of Decker's. I don't really talk to Decker Heaney now, but I didn't talk to him from 2016, to be honest.
Why?
There's a few reasons. One of them, when he fought for the governor title against Julius Francis, you know Julius Francis, obviously, and he fought for the governor title. Now, I said to the people organising the show, I'll do the corner, but I want it to be guaranteed it's a genuine fight, a real fight. I don't want to be part of any fixed fights, because I know a lot of that goes on in the unlicensed. Anyway, when I got down to London to do Decker's corner, I found out that the fight was going to be fixed. Julius was going to go the distance, which I wasn't happy about. And I said, what does I said, does Decker know it's a fixed fight? And they said, yeah. So I was like, I was not happy. Did the corner, and I think Decker didn't thank me. I'm big on manners. Yeah. I always please and thank you and stuff. So Decker didn't thank me after, and I've gone all the way to London to do his corner. So I was in two minds of whether to challenge him for the governor title. I didn't want the title. I just wanted to fight him because I thought he had manners. And then luckily he called me about 3 or 4 days later and he thanked me. But a couple of other things went on behind the scenes that I was hearing about, and I didn't talk to him again from 2016. And then saw him at the bare knuckle fight with Dean Lynch Ward. I was at the site at the fight.
Okay.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
I've been in touch with Dean quite a lot lately, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just coincidentally, he came on the show only about a month ago, something like that. Speaking about Decker Heaney, he said that in a rematch that he'd fitter. He felt like he was only at 30% against Decker Heaney. So, do you feel that let's say a fitter Dean Lynch Ward could beat Decker Heaney, or do you feel that's out of the question?
First of all, he shouldn't have gone in without being 100%, because then, he probably should have gone in 100%. But I don't know, because I was there. I was right standing by the ring on the Oxford Joyce's site, and he did catch Decker at one point with a little shot that stunned Decker back a little bit. And I was thinking, oh, that's good, because I was hoping Dean would put on a good performance, because so many people were sort of slating him and stuff. I felt bad for him because he had the balls to get in and do it, and he did catch you with a good shot. But I don't know whether a fully fit Dean would be able to. No, because Decker has got a good chin. He has got a decent chin in the bare knuckle. But I don't know what would happen with that one. I don't know. But to be fair, the quality of the fighters he had weren't the top, the best compared to what they are now. Bare knuckles evolved from when Decker first started. You've got a lot of ex-professionals doing it now, and you've got a lot of top amateurs doing it, and it's they're more skilled fighters. Back when Decker started, they were a bit more like your sort of pub fighters.
Okay.
Like tough rugby players and stuff. Danny Christie was a good fight. I know Danny as well.
Very good fighter, actually. I saw that recently, and I thought he's really handy bloke. Him.
Danny could fight. Yeah, I've sparred with Danny as well on my YouTube channel. We've done a few rounds. I went up to Carlisle. But yeah, Danny's got, he'd never give up. He'll just fight on through all the pain and injuries, and good boxing ability and stuff. Good punch on him.
Yeah, can punch,
and he's got a massive heart as well, which is the most important thing, is you've got to have a big heart.
Fantastic. I want to leave you with first of all, actually, no, to shout out your channel. So looks like we've got a few people from over in your channel. Ronnie Reynolds says.
Ronnie Reynolds says, mate.
Kirk Swain, evening, matey. Rob Murphy said match channel is great and well worth a look, and I'm sure he said this so we can plug it, and I want to for thanking you for coming on the show. So
thank you, Rob.
What's the name of your channel? Tell us about that. Where can we find you?
My channel is just my name, Matt Legg. I'm thinking of changing the name, of putting something on after it, but I'll do that soon. But just my name. I've got all various videos. I've got a lot of lives, interviews with fighters and criminals, and interesting characters in all walks of life. I had Ricky Grover on recently, who actor, comedian, boxer. He did a brilliant interview with Ricky. I've had Charlie Bronson's brother on. Kevin Lane was on the other day. I don't know if you know Kevin Lane. He did 20 years for a murder that he didn't commit.
Wow.
Known as one of the toughest prisoners in Britain, Kevin Lane was, for his ferocity in his fighting. A good boxer as well. So I've had them on. I've got loads more guests lined up. I think Paul Venice is coming on Tuesday evening. I've got Paul. He's a good fighter. And I've got loads of different guests lined up. So yeah, I do fighter profiles as well, where I'll talk about bare knuckle fighters or unlicensed boxers, street fighters, you name it. All different interesting fighters. I do little profiles on them as well.
Absolutely unreal. I've got a really good. I've not told anybody this yet. Listen to talking about the channel. We've got a really good guest coming on soon. In fact, we've got loads. But next week we've got Katie Healy, who's an unbeaten. She thinks she's 6-0 as a professional. Mark Heffron, who's the Commonwealth. I think he's a Commonwealth British and I think he's IBF Intercontinental middleweight. The middleweight. Yeah, he's the champion who's coming on. And I don't know if you saw the guy who did the boxing impressions on YouTube, where he's absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
He's the best I've ever seen. It's impression for them, and he's going to be coming on. I'm going to speak to him on Wednesday. He's going to be coming.
Is that the fellow with Tyson Fury?
I'll try and get him on here. Let me see if I can find him, because he's honestly, and I'll play it through the mic. He is so good. Like, he is so good. Let's have a look at boxing. Impressions. Let's have a look. Listen how good this guy is. He's absolutely next level. This guy, I don't know if you can see the camera. I don't know if you've seen him, but listen to him.
Yeah.
Listen to him. You're going to love this. Honestly, he's so good.
That's boxing. It's unpredictable and it can be a challenge. But
Oh, wow.
you just got to focus on yourself, like on your skills. That's what I do every day. I get a little bit better. I improve.
And he does all of them. He does Steve Bunce. He does loads. He's meant. So yeah, he's going to be coming on the show.
That's good. Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Bit different, you know. But everybody from my side, make sure you find your way over to Matt's channel. He's a great guy, and he's got some incredible stories. So, and everybody, you know, coming to see Matt, make sure you subscribe and like and hit the notification button for us too. I'd massively appreciate it. Matt, honestly, genuinely, what a fantastic guest. What a story you've got, and you know, many amazing stories you've got to come. Thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thank you, Dan. All the best. I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Nice one.
What a great show. Brilliant. Well, I've already cat's out the bag. You know, I've already told you what's happening with next week with Mark Heffron. I believe Mark Chamberlain as well is going to be coming on. There's some fantastic guests that we're going to be bringing on. Current champions, legends, people involved in boxing. Also, big shout out to the British Boxing Board of Control. They've kindly invited me to their awards dinner to be the press for there. I'm going to be interviewing all the fighters over there, Fraser Clark, and everybody in the Midlands is going to be there. So that's going to be really, really good to see. Going to shout out now. This is your last chance. By the way, if you can notice me black eye, I don't know if anybody's noticed that. But it's not an angry eyebrow. It does look a bit like that. Yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea to do some grappling. I got elbowed in my face. Yeah. Good lad after a few beers. So, yeah, this is your last chance. Make sure you like, make sure you press share. And I'm going to be picking out a winner very, very shortly on who's going to win our merch for this week. I want to say, first of all, a massive thank you. Thank you so much for liking the channel. We're trying to grow every day. YouTube's a hard battle. I don't know why I didn't do it any sooner. But thank you so much for watching the show and sharing the content. I'm going to pick out a winner. And the winner this week is Richard Vernon. Another great show, as always, pal. Liked and shared. Thank you, Richard Vernon. Make sure you send me your address, mate, and I'll make sure you get some exclusive Boxing TV merch out to you, matey. Again, I say it every week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you all the best with your friends, your family. Hope you stay safe, stick into your boxing, and have a brilliant week. Take care, guys.